the words of its developers, Deathstate is a new twist on the retro top-down shoot-'em-ups of the arcade era. In my experience, Deathstate feels like a refreshing mix of classic bullet hell mechanics with solid roguelike progression and fantastic VHS-era album cover visuals. Players shoot and dodge through randomly generated dungeons, gathering items before progressing down deeper towards the area's boss. Mechanically, the game feels competent. The player character feels responsive and properly floaty. The bullet hell mechanics are slightly underwhelming when facing the game's earlier monsters, but they shine during the intense boss fights. The shooting mechanics are fully automatic. The game's auto-targeting system selects the closest enemy and fires whenever you're in range. Though the system is pretty functional, it can be annoying at times, seeing as the closest enemy might not pose the biggest threat. However, during the more skill-based bullet-dodging boss fights, it's easy to take this design choice for granted. In Deathstate's early alpha stage, the level generation is a bit underwhelming. There are seemingly random holes in the terrain, and obstacles can be a bit repetitive. The game's monsters have issues with pathfinding, and the item distribution seems a little uneven. Hopefully all of these minor issues will be ironed out before the game's release later this year. I was surprised to see just how deep the roguelike elements ran throughout the game. There are items that can give passive buffs, followers with multiple abilities such as explosions, organs that increase the player's stats, magical tomes, cosmetic items, and potions with random magical effects that range anywhere from healing to temporarily messing with the field of view. All of these items are managed through a lore-filled RPG-style inventory system. The item description blurbs do a great job of setting the game's tone and filling out the world. The items themselves have a massive effect on the gameplay, adding different abilities as well as allowing the player to develop their character in a way that fits their playstyle. In my time with the game's demo, I noticed that the roguelike elements can somewhat detract from the game's shooter framework. Some of the items are imbalanced, to the point where one tome was able to carry me through the entire game, which took a lot of the skill out of dodging bullets. With a little balancing, I'm sure that Deathstate will be able to comfortably merge these two classic game types. Visually, Deathstate is a love letter to the arcade games of the 1980s. The pixel art monsters and environments strike a great tone between morbid, nostalgic, and cute. The entire game has a thick interlacing effect, similar to the one in Far Cry Blood Dragon, that really helps to set the mood. The music also fits right in, adding a sense of intensity to the gameplay. The game's visuals should be a smash hit with anyone who enjoyed the style of Hotline Miami. I'm excited for Deathstate. I enjoyed playing the alpha, and I feel that with a little refinement, the game should be able to merge bullet hell and roguelike into one seamless experience. In a sentence, Deathstate is like Gauntlet, Binding of Isaac, Hotline Miami, and Jamestown rolled into one. I'm sure I'll be putting a few hours into it when it releases later this year on Windows and Mac.